Hi everyone, Simon here with a review of Flat Heroes. I wish I could call my waistline flat, but no, the quarantine has got to me, and so has lockdown. This game is what I call the Triple P. It is pixel platforming perfection. This is the PlayStation 4 version you see on your screens, but it's been out on PC for several years and then came to consoles in 2020. It is one of those games that you look at and go, oh, that looks like it could be quite cool. And then you get just sucked into the entire Moorish gameplay and how well together and how it personifies and imbues everything that you would love about a 2D platforming game and just distills it down into this minimalistic design that is both just satisfying to get to grips with and enjoy and be part of, plus adding a plethora of modes as you go along. So I shall wander through the game and hopefully I'll have sold you on it by the time we've finished. There are 300 micro levels, as I call them, to get through. They're all one single screen in the campaign mode. And the campaign mode you can tackle in single player, or you can have other people drop in and out with co-op as you go along. The whole idea of this game is not necessarily getting from A to B, but it's avoiding all of the enemies in your screen so that they kind of commit suicide and die, and so that you're the last one standing by the end of it. Different enemies react in different ways, and you are highly athletic as your little square to dive around and avoid things as you go. So you've got running, you've got jumping, double jumping, wall jumping, sliding down a wall. You can also kind of jump and pivot mid-air as well. And there's some other tricks of the trade that start to unlock as you go through all of these multiple worlds that are divided into showing you different types of enemies and how they work. What's the beauty about Flat Heroes is that you can tackle levels how you want, because it's not a specific pattern that you're going to need to follow to get from the beginning to the end of these levels that can last anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds. Because a lot of the enemies attack you at where you are at certain points. So it leaves strategy up to you so that you can then attack things in different ways. It could be that actually, if you aren't quite so precise at doing wall jumps, that might work well for you in some situations, but in others it might be that you run and cling and hide behind a wall until enemies throw themselves at you and hit the wall behind you, and then at that point you just leap out and go and hide behind the other wall instead of leaping between things. It gives you the freedom to experiment and explore. And that's really rewarding, because when you get to a really challenging level and you're having to try and work out how do I survive, it will really feel twice as rewarding, because you have that open space to play and your mind tries out different things. Some of it will be luck that you'll get to the end, some of it will be skill, but you always feel like you've been rewarded by trying something different and seeing what works and what doesn't. At the end of each world, you get boss levels, and that's where you have to also start attacking people. The bosses rather, just not people in general. And they kind of follow the enemy patterns that you've been learning throughout the levels that have come before you. And it will normally also hone a skill that you've been picking up along the way. So it might be that the enemy turns all of the outsides of your level square into like spikes. So you can no longer like cling onto the sides of stuff. You might need to hop between like tiny little slidey walls so that you can stay afloat, that type of thing. But they're all well designed, and again, they just build on the things that you've got before. And with the way how the graphics are minimalistic but artsy, they remind me a little bit of Just Beats and Shapes, where everything is looking like a kaleidoscope of objects and colours and sounds that just mesh beautifully together and feel really pleasing to the eye and the mind, actually. I find it really satisfying to see all of this clean, minimalistic design. I know it might not appeal to everyone, but this is one of those fantastic examples of where minimalism really works in the art style. Now, I said that all of those 300 levels can be completed in single player and co-op, but outside of that, you also have versus mode where you can then take on various different competitions against your friends as well. So if you've got people locally, then you can do up to 4 players in arena battles. There's different types of battles as well. There's like collectathons, there's where you get actual like the ability to try and like hit people and kill them and get rid of their lives and stuff like that. Because of how precise all of the movement is, and that your square and character has a weight and gravity that makes sense. And I find this missing quite a lot in games. Quite often you're like, when you play this game, when you run and jump, just be aware that it's slightly floaty, or there might be some like feedback when you land that you might run forward a few pixels. Not the case with this game. It feels and acts perfectly. And I think it's one of the best examples of how weight and gravity works in a platformer that I've ever played. Which is why it's so satisfying and Moorish, because you know when you lose it's your fault. But that really translates well into the versus modes, and I would absolutely put it up there in the top tier echelon of the people of games like Towerfall, and games akin to that. Extreme Exorcism is another great one, where it's one screen, 4 players, and very minimal gameplay rules, but it just works. Outside of that as well, you then have unlimited survival levels, which will just constantly randomly generate new enemy patterns, and you just need to see how far you can get and how long you can stay alive. There's also daily challenges with online leaderboards as well, where you can drop in, have a go for a minute or two, get really frustrated that you're not top of the leaderboard and bugger off. But yeah, it's just one of those games that it looks unassuming, but oh my god, if you give it a go, it will suck you in. Easily one of my most recommended purchases and most best loved purchases that I've had in 2020. Easily one of the best platformers that I've played this generation, and it deserves to be mentioned up there with your likes of your Towerfalls. Thomas's were alones in terms of like gameplay mechanics and minimalism design, and it's just super Moorish. That's it. You've got to go and get it. Make your flat hero a fat hero. Play it to death with the gameplay. If you've got any comments or questions, please leave them down below. I will have a written review of this over on higherplayinggames.com at the weekend. You guys will stay safe, and happy gaming. Bye for now. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a collection of media projects ran by me. If you like what you see and want to find out more, visit patreon.com/higherplane network. Your support can make so much more possible, be that a like, a comment, a share, or a pledge. Thanks for watching.